All right, let's get into Gulf of America, Venezuela. Trump saying that we're at war, and then Chuck Schumer doing the wartime resolution, and he is tied to so-called multiple bomb threats. And then Amy Schumer's in the news at the same time, and she just lost weight and became hot again, so-called, with the Ozempic. And the Gulf of America, that war line, so to speak. I've done the post where Mexico looks like a dragon when you flip it upside down, and been tracking the dragon and blowing fire down into the middle of the Gulf. And that Gulf hole-in-one and the flow right over. So I've gotten into these things in the past. They are now upon our earth as we are in that 25 zone, 2025, which carries the over, and then 25 on the 9/11, which is next year, and that Christmas Eve, that Christmas spirit, and all these things are upon the earth. The Antichrist being shown as far as Anti-Christmas, and they're taking that out and doing that tree of life for the Treemas. This is part of the beginning of changing American tradition, like where did this Christmas tree come from and whatever else, but we'll do another video on that. So she is hyper glossy, the glossy, the G is the 7th letter for the candlestick crossover that I've been talking about before in the past, and that's part of the Laodicea church and the Amen, and that's where the garden's growing dark. The Schumer, the Shu, the Yahshua, the St. Nicholas Day has 2 days, the 6th and the 19th this month, and then Xmas in July, and then next Christmas, okay, and then the 25 carries over into the 27, and those types of things for the Xmas in 2027, and those things for long counts, all right? But we can see how all these things are going into these little areas that we've been tracking. Okay, so is it going to be this year for that entrance, and then it builds up into another one, or are they just going to start doing that political thriller upon the stage and the spy session and announcing this, that, and the other in the waters and whatever else is playing out? But the 144,000, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, of the winds of the earth, that attaches to the 144K. The K is the 11. The 144 equals a 9. That's part of the 9/11 and also the 7/11 that Trump did his trial stuff on that we tracked before. But that, oh, thank heaven for 7/11. But this is tied to the North Countries, the Black Horse, which is us, which is go forth into the go forth. The fourth is the quarter, the 0.25. That's where we're at in that 0.25, okay? So, and we're pointing to the 2.5, and those things for the watchman who's been tracking this watch, and since Jade Helm, basically, for that AI warfare in Texas, and the Mars mission where you have the so-called 15-minute delay that I've gotten into long ago, with the Indian, UAE, China, Russia, American Mars missions and such. But that's that red planet, and then Elon's, it's all going together as we've been following all this different stuff coming out. But so the Grizzled, and the Bay, the Houston Bay, those types of things where you can see the cloaking device that I've talked about possibly being here, and a different, as far as China being announced in our waters here, the so-called Iran mothership being announced without being announced in one way, the drones being announced without being announced in one way, that fire almost hitting the nuclear plants in Texas, all those little things as this so-called bomber, the pipe bomber today, and is all going together, and your Fauci, the Michiko, all that kind of stuff is going together with Mexico and the Sheehan bomb, the Tannenbaum, and everything is made for today. It's all built on these days. In 2026, the 2022, the Revelation 22 to the 26 alphabet. I've been doing these and watching these things and putting these together for a long time. It's going to be a day when the cross fitness and the critical race and those gold eye tops that Trump bought, that sold you, you're going to have to put those on, and you're going to have to run real fast and jump real high. Okay? And you might be running through those streets like they show us in those kung fu movies where you just, okay? So, the 4 Char riots, Charlie Kirk, the Candace Owen, talking about how the TPUSA, the shit being served and whatever else has taken, possibly, she has the proof for the Charlie Kirk and whatever else. So it's all, this is where everything is, okay, folks? The Gulf of America and the East Coast, Beast Coast, and the Vanguard, the Vance Guard, and that Holy Spirit, the Holy Army. The Holy Army is tied to the Corona Dark Suns. It's children that's hatching, and we've reached that 6-year marker upon the 8th year of the woman clothed in the sun, and these transfers of time and whatever else. The point of it is, folks, if you are in certain areas, you just need to think about things and possibly leave those boots by the door, because that Nicolas Maduro is part of that Duracell, and those things that's rising as the Pirates of the Caribbean is going live. And Elon Musk said a long time ago that it's hard to move water. Well, if you get the water shallow enough, like you got in the Caribbean area and those Virgin Island areas for a little berth, and the wartime resolution and war crimes and such that Trump would be pulling, in kind of one spectrum would be him not getting permission to go to war with Venezuela, and he's just kind of doing this as a personal vendetta using our military and such. So, and then today he is participating, that par on those greens, for the peace deal on the Rwanda and the Juan de Fuca, and the Juan for the Jesus and the Jesus for the cross border, and those things for the Congo, and that C on go. You either see it or you don't see it. You hear it or you don't hear it. And unfortunately, they've used this name, that name, whatever names out here to brand you, so that if you can see, you cannot see. If you can hear, you cannot hear. And this is where you've had a so-called subversion upon our earth. Okay? And I'm going to get into that in another video.